When you guys were starting the company, do you have
Hmm.
any advice for somebody else looking to start their own firm?
Oh my gosh, so much. I think my background has uh, lent itself to doing a very specific approach, specifically from the finance side. Uh, I would kind of like my two biggest pieces was understand cash flow, and then my second big piece is understand your sales cycle. So when you start a firm, sometimes life just leads you that way. Like there's so many architects that own their firm that I kind of like, hey, how did you get started? How did you get your first clients? How did you, branch off on your own? Most of them have told me stories that were very specific life circumstances that, especially females, a lot of times it's like, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do the high demand while being a mom. And I
Hmm.
had to quit. And then somebody just said, hey, will you design this for me? Or will you design that for me? And they start picking up these little projects. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, wait, like this is how they start. So um, for us, it was uh, different in that we knew we wanted to start it and we were doing it together and the time was right and we picked the niche market that we ended up being in. But what I think I was naive to this was that the sales cycle for it is really long. So we're a design build. Um, we design financial institutions, so bank branches, credit union branches. When we do those, they're not little projects. Like if even for remodels, the normal low price kind of falls around 500,000 to build it, and that doesn't include going through the CDs, the actual design phase. If we have to do any market analysis for them, which sometimes we do, um, that's low end. So for somebody to have that chunk of money in their budget, they have to really plan ahead. And then some projects are multi-million dollar projects. So to get that sale just to where they sign the contract takes about 12 to 18 months from when we first start talking to them. Um, and then after that, you still have a very long phase, probably another 12 to 18 months of everything you need to do in between then building, CDs, construction, etc., if everything runs smoothly. So knowing that the money doesn't come in the door right away. And so if you're starting your own firm, knowing how long your sales cycle is for your specific niche of the market is key, because if you're just like cold turkey, you want to start a business, you go for it, you file your LLC, all of that, you may have 18 months before you even get a contract. And that's if you're talking to clients day one. They have to know you exist. So there's a whole cycle of sales that happen before that too. So yeah, that would be kind of advice one is know your sales cycle, know how long it takes, and then beyond that, know your cash flow. So obviously the design work that we do is not as uh, it it's pretty much straight revenue, which is or straight profit, but it's a much smaller amount compared to once we're doing the construction. So knowing kind of the curvature of when the money comes in and knowing how to manage that, what from an accounting standpoint, you say flatten the curve, really helps you manage your business. So if you're running lean and you have to pay certain employees, like that the money's going to be there when payday comes because payday comes more often than you're getting paid. You're just hoping, that last payment can sustain. So really understanding deeply how your cash flow works and how to manage all the payments out is huge.
Yeah. Do you have any I was a business minor, so I understand some of the more accounting and finance
Yeah,
numbers and graphs. But I guess for somebody who doesn't have any business knowledge, what types of tips do you have for flattening the curve? So that's more like the highs
yeah,
and lows on when you actually get paid versus not paid, so you don't hit a
yep,
lull.
yeah. You can do a few things. One, if you just don't have any accounting skills at all, get yourself an accountant. Like, have somebody that can help you manage your books. and set up regular check-ins with them. That's money well spent, even though it's kind of the
It's
opposite. It's
money.
like you're paying somebody to help you. Yeah. But keeps you safer. Hopefully it keeps you from any major pitfalls. What we do is we use obviously bookkeeping software so that I can manage it. And, if you're an organized person, set yourself bi-weekly reminders to go in and look at everything and make sure you're getting paid on time and your invoices aren't behind, for people paying you. Managing your own invoices, I feel, always helps, in that you have very clear line of sight on, your head is totally wrapped around who owes you money, when it's coming in, your billing schedule. We always do a net 30 payment, which is pretty standard for a lot of businesses, but understanding like, hey, okay, you tell your clients up front, like you have 30 days to pay, knowing that if you have had problems with them in the past, putting penalties on it for them, which you hate to do because they're your clients, but getting paid on time is key. Beyond that, how you structure the payments when it comes to construction is very much based on the type of construction you're doing and how big that is. A lot of companies will ask for 50%. Very common. We use something called a cost plus model where a lot of things that they're just like, oh, okay, well, they need this, I'll get it to them. And they don't like count those hours, or they don't build them in from the beginning. So a lot of that comes with just learning on the job too. How long will this take me? Because there's things that surprise you where you had an estimate out there for a certain amount, you guessed the number of hours, and then it ends up being a lot more. And the client is like, hey, you misquoted me. Like, you're going to have some tough conversations. So some of that is learning. Some of it is in the beginning, you kind of figure out, ooh, I should have charged more. So
Check out the full discussion from this bite of advice here. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on more mentorDINO content.